Hi everyone, Natu here again, back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk a bit about why you don't need to do everything when you're raising 10 million plus. So essentially I'm going to give you 4 reasons why a lot of people are intimidated when they raise their first 8-figure transaction and why you don't really need to be. Because there are ways of if you know how to really leverage systems, then really people can be at your command when you're working on this capital raise. And I'm going to just talk about people who I've spoken to people that, they had like 8 figures of real estate under management, and, or going from that to people who haven't done a deal before and they've gotten the deals done, but, sometimes the people with a lot of deals under management, they get intimidated. And I'm going to talk a bit about things that can help you, as you're working on raising capital, so that you're not really intimidated, but you're more confident in going through the process. Because, one person that joined raises.com, he was, really successful person by kind of average standards. So in terms of the types of deals that he's already done, but he hasn't closed a deal that was essentially what he can say was large enough for him to have the substantial level of growth that he wanted to see in his finances and so on, in terms of capital raises. The solution was to kind of work with him so that he could set up a good team, a board, and a group of people around him that knew way more than he did, so that he can position himself as somebody who's really orchestrating the team and organizing some of the operations, where somebody else really takes all the brunts for having all the experience and experiential knowledge. And there are ways of doing this and building boards and building team members and strategies and setting up team members that would have that experience. And so we're working with this member so that he can get to where he needs to be in that regard. But it's really interesting in the sense that even though you don't really have to know everything, because this person hasn't really closed a 8-figure plus transaction in one transaction before, but he will still be able to use the experience of other people to get him in the conversation with other investors. And this is the system that we're doing with several people that are working at raises.com, but other people can use for their own self as well. It's just the point really here is make sure that you create in innovative ways of leveraging other people's experience by creating win-win games and win-win scenarios, so that, hey, they come in as a board member on closing of escrow, then they get benefits, but there's little upfront work commitments for them to actually be a part of your board or advisory team. And in putting these people in the right place, in the right spots, we got some masterminds together, raises.com, and other people have their own masterminds, so that you can actually build the right team so that they're ready to build you the reputation that you need. And so even though you haven't closed 10 million plus before, there's still ways of using teams and members and building that authority so that you're able to actually get out there. And so that's number 1. Number 2, realize that investment banks are really doing the same thing. You talk to people that have closed different deals. Admittedly, there was an investment bank that the CEO was largely successful, but he didn't really have the industry-specific knowledge to take on all the types of deals that they did, because the investment bank was quote-unquote industry agnostic, and so that means that they took on deals from all types of sectors, whether it be solar, real estate, technology, blockchain, and everything. So what does a company do when a company doesn't have the core competencies necessary to actually close a transaction or to negotiate for the people that are raising or to sell to the investors? They just delegate and hire. So that's the second thing. Even though people are really intimidated by closing large transactions, all you do, you just like any company, you just delegate. So delegate some of the core competencies needed for you to actually get your deal done. And even though that's a really big, a lot of people, they don't really know how to give up control or whatever. It's just standard corporate governance to delegate things that you don't understand. So that's number 2. And really number 3 is, I guess in finance, is really knowing how to build a team around that as well. Because when it comes to raising 10 million plus, the financial acuity and financial IQ is probably the number 1 thing, to be honest. So having really great systems to delegate to people who have the financial IQ to execute your transaction, that's really probably the number 1 priority. And so that's what raises.com does, is that we have a team of chartered financial analysts, as well as people that have actually worked more on the practical or pragmatic side as well, come together so that the sum is greater than the parts. And the reason why I mentioned financial is because too many people, especially in this sector who are new to it, they get too much pride, and not, I don't mean pride in a bad way, but in a normal bad way. I mean, they get too excited for the fact that they're doing all the financials manually and they're doing all the work manually. Because when it comes to consulting, solving problems, raising capital, and doing all these things, nobody really cares about how hard you work. People could not care less about how hard you work, depending on the situation. I say that with a caveat. They only care if you can execute on whatever they want you to execute on. Meaning, if I have a company that I'm raising capital for, they don't care if I have 3 MBAs and 3 CFAs and I can analyze their financials from now till tomorrow. They don't care if I can do that. However, they would care if they can raise their capital, meaning that if I could build the systems for them, for me to actually get, the right team members in place and the right, delegate to the right people and build the right systems for us as a collective to do the financials so that we can actually raise that capital, then that'll be well precedented, and then that'll be something that people want. Rather than me being the person to take pride in doing everything. It's really what's funny is that, the team that I work with, they're superior in terms of different assets and different facets rather that they bring on board. And because of that, as a collective, we're able to get the job done rather than one person as the individual taking pride in all that they do. Because pretty much from when I speaking, kind of looking at the past, pretty much everything, all the things that have gone wrong have come from me taking pride in seeing all the things that I could do, rather than looking towards a collective team of people, group of people, or an organization, and looking at what the collective can do or what the systems that we build can do. Because that's always more powerful. Because for you to be able to scale to a certain level, you have to depend on multiple things rather than just one person. And so with that, those are really the 3 points and 3 things, kind of encouragement, really why you shouldn't be too intimidated when you work on raising 10 million plus. Number 1, understand you can build the reputation that you need. And by building systems of delegation, building authority around it, creating win-win games with people who have high experiences in certain sectors so that you build that authority that you need. Just get good relationships, building that authority, and also not taking pride in the fact that you do everything in the organization, but taking pride in that your organization does everything for solving the problem that is needed by either the person that's raising the capital, the person that the investor, or what have you, depending on whether you're on the buy side or the sell side. And if you combine both, then you'll be in a great situation to win, no matter where you come from, as long as you have a decent level of experience. But you don't have to be, on Wall Street right now. Simply put, you have to have the systems to use those people who have the experience for you to get to that end goal. And if you have a definitive way of getting to that from start to finish, then you'll be able to win. And so with this, I thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.